What is going on, guys? Reflex here, and it's been a while since I've recorded a video, but this is probably going to be the most surprising video that I've probably ever done because no one would have expected it, and I honestly never thought I'd get access to a game like this. But I'm a fan of Dr. Disrespect, and he has this AAA studio known as Midnight Society, and I think months back they had a whole thing of, becoming a founder. You had to go through this application process. And mine got accepted, so I'm a part of that. And they had a thing while I was at work today, sadly, so I didn't get to watch it live, but they had a whole event for the first kind of showing of the game that he is making, and the game is known as Deadrop. That is the game that they're putting together. They're calling it like a vertical extraction shooter, which the name threw me off. Not Deadrop, but vertical extraction shooter. I didn't exactly know how to think about that, but as they went on, they were talking about, they were being very vague with just about everything, which makes sense because the game's not out yet. I don't even think the game, you can't even call this pre-alpha, I don't think. This is the very first playable build they've made, which was very surprising. I did not expect to even see a playable build happen, but they had it playable for the people at the event. And the cool thing was that I didn't realize until I was on break that they also had a build. They call these snapshots, but they also had one for people that are in the founders that has the founders access, and I am one of them. Now, one of the issues, my PC is not strong enough to run a game like this. It is more for just editing and playing very low-end games like Valorant and CS:GO. That's just really all it's there for, to be quite honest. It's just recording, using my Elgato, and editing. That's literally it. However, even though I don't have the recommended amount of RAM to run this, everything else is up to snuff, I would say. But I still gave it a go. Now in the background you might see not as great quality, but if the devs are watching this, which you probably aren't, but if you are, maybe in the future, if you're able to, add a little bit more options for lower end PC, because right now you could only choose quality wise from high and epic, and I probably can't run either of those properly, but I gave it a try and I was able to play for about maybe 30 minutes. I didn't really want to put my PC through literal hell, but from what I played of it, it is very, very great looking. I'm not gonna lie, it was unexpected to see a game that's at this stage to look so good. They are using Unreal Engine 5, which is, probably 95% of the reason why it looks the way it does, but it is really good looking. I'm not gonna lie. You start in this elevator, and as you're going up, it opens, and even just the textures of everything looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I like the aesthetic of it, just kind of this shadowy, kind of darkness looking. I'm not entirely sure where this is taking place or what the era is, but it definitely seems kind of like 80s, 90s-esque. I think that's what they said they were going for. But all the textures and everything looks nice. The gun looks pretty cool. I'm not entirely sure the names of these weapons. It's probably there's a whole variant guide that I'm supposed to read, but to be honest, I got off of work, downloaded the build just to get this out for you guys, even though my PC can't run it. But like I said, the devs could probably in the future add lower end settings for lower PCs. That way everyone is able to play this, because I think it might be coming out for PlayStation and Xbox in the future, because I would think that they would want everyone to have access to this. So probably when it comes down the line, I'll just play it on console when it comes to it. But for now, every single snapshot that comes out, I will play it and I'll make a video for you guys. But as you continue, you go and you start playing, I think, 3 firing ranges. Now, I'm not a keyboard player. I'm not a mouse and keyboard player at all. I played a little bit of Valorant. I'm slowly getting better, but this game definitely it felt a little weird to me because I haven't played Valorant. I've been playing Apex for like the past couple weeks, so I haven't even touched Valorant, so I'm already rusty as it was, even though it wasn't the greatest. But the first one wasn't too bad. I was spent a little bit of time on it to kind of get the feel of it. But the very second firing range, it was like further targets, and it was kind of dark, I'm not gonna lie, so it made it harder to see. But they said that was their point. It's not going to be an easy game, it's going to be a hard game. And I did struggle a lot on the second firing range for sure. I only had 38%. I didn't even bother trying it for a second time because I knew I sucked. So I just went on to the third one, and that's where you have to shoot a whole bunch of skulls, and it kind of just has a feel to it like It's not exactly as like you have to stop when you're shooting to hit the targets, pretty accurately. It actually feels, I would say, more in lines of like Rainbow Six-esque, which, judging by how they explain things, because they were asked a lot of questions, and one of the things that was said was like, how exactly does this game work? What does the gameplay entail? And they talked about that. You have this hideout or your garage where you'll have your stuff, and you'll go to these towers or these sectors where you'll go in these areas and you'll fight through and gather a whole bunch of stuff. And well, they didn't really say that part, but they said after you fight through a whole bunch, you also want to escape with your life to, leave with your supplies. So that gives me a lot of Escape from Tarkov vibes. At least that's how I took it. Now, I could be completely wrong because they were pretty vague on everything that they were asked, but all in all, the game feels good. The game feels actually really, really good. And that's coming from someone that was running it on a PC that really can't run this game, but it felt really good. I will say, eventually I think they're gonna go with some more like controller support, because there is limited gamepad support, they said. So I could have plugged in my Xbox or PS5 controller, but I just wanted to play it on the mouse and keyboard because it would have been a little easier and ease of access for me. But in the future, I hope they do add, more graphical settings so more people can run it, as well as maybe, more extensive gamepad access. That way I can just play with controller. But it does feel good. So it feels like Rainbow, but a little better in my opinion. It does feel better, but that's just because I don't really like the feeling of Rainbow as much. But I know a lot of people like how Rainbow Six plays, but for me personally, I think it feels clunky at times. This felt pretty smooth throughout. I do enjoy, the gunplay. It feels good. The kind of, I'm not sure if you can lean. I didn't really go extensive on the controls. I wanted to play it as quick as possible and kind of get through as much as I could. But it seems like it's going to be a dark game. Not dark as in like, kind of grim and scary type dark, but just dark as in it seems like we're lurking from the shadows. Like that's kind of the point of this game. Like we're gonna go in, take whatever we can, take out targets possibly, and then leave. But they also brought up, the future builds having like a PvP aspect. So I'm not entirely sure if we're going to go into a game and take out NPC players and then leave with supplies, or are we taking out other players and then taking supplies that way? There's a lot of stuff that, we'll obviously have answers to later on down the line, but from what I played, I'm very excited to see what they do for the future. The sound, I will say the sound of the game, now obviously if you're a fan of Dr. Disrespect, you know that his main gripes with game is the audio. The audio has to be up to snuff if you want to impress the two-time. So when I came into this game, I expected, honestly, I expected perfect audio right off the bat. I figured that probably was the exact first thing they worked on, was the audio, knowing the two-time. So that, it sounded good. I can't really judge based on, there was not really any, like 3D audio that I could tell like how it was sounding. But there was one instance when the helicopter, flew by, and it did sound like it followed and tracked pretty nicely, so that was pretty good. But everything, like the rain sounded nice, the gun sound sounded pretty cool. The footsteps sounded good, and you need those. But I'm curious to really go, into a deep dive on the, footsteps and all of that and other type of sounds when you play with actual, like people or even like NPC targets and all stuff like that. Like I want to be able to know what it's going to sound like with other players, instead of based on just little like, little skull targets and all that we've got. But all in all, the game was good. I'm excited to see what comes from this and to see what more of the other people that are part of the team. He has a group of, it seems like, very passionate developers that all have different backgrounds from different games, that they all seem like they care about the kind of quality of game that they are making, and that excites me as a fan of first-person shooters when, to be quite honest, we've had nothing but lacking first-person shooters. You have Vanguard that didn't really hit the mark at all. Halo did not hit the mark at all this year. Battlefield, this was the first year that well, not this year, but Last year was like the year where we were going to get, you know, the trifecta, the trio of games back, and it was going to be a good year, and yet all of them kind of just failed to hit the mark. Apex honestly feels like the best game out right now when it comes to, you know, just the way the game is, even though I know that it's kind of divisive right now in terms of like the ranking system. I think some people are mad about that, but all in all, like, we definitely need a contender in the first-person shooter market, just because of the fact that I feel like without competition, no one's going to be willing to make their games better. And it seems like the 2Times willing to step up to the plate and try his hand at this, so I'm curious to see where this goes from here. But if you guys did get a chance, you know, maybe you're part of the founders group too and have founders access to this, and if you did, let me know how the game went for you. Did you enjoy the build? Are you excited for the future of Deadrop? Do you think that the game will live up to the expectations that we all may have? You know, just let me know your thoughts down below. But if you guys did enjoy this video, leave a like, subscribe, and you guys know the drill. I will see you guys later.